Roar conversations deeper than the dirt.
Oh, I love it.
Roar, open-hearted where truth lives on. Roar, authentic, 'cause being fake doesn't work. Roar, radiating every word. Conversations where women are heard.
Wow,
Be
that's beautiful.
real, be open-hearted, be authentic.
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Good to be here in this space with some lovely, lovely women. And just want to do a sound check, make sure everybody can hear us and see us and all that good stuff. I think so.
Looks good here.
Good. All right. So welcome everybody to R.O.A.R. This is a new type of platform that Violet and I are going to endeavor upon. And hopefully this will be something that you guys will want to return to again and again. But our thought behind this is to give space for women to speak and be heard. And sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's full of bullshit, and sometimes it just is what it is. But here we are, and we're gathered here with Melanie and Jill today as our first guest, and the four of us are just answering questions that have been submitted into our platform. And later I'm going to give you a QR code that if you have a question that you want to throw into the hat, we'll be happy to entertain it during one of our sessions. And from there, we're going to first start off with just really introducing ourselves and what makes you roar. Violet, you want to start us off with that?
Sorry, my husband's over here asking me if the dog has eaten. No, he has not eaten yet.
Your dog's going to roar.
Exactly. So yeah, I love that question. What makes me roar? For me, it's definitely been all about finding my voice. You know, my entire journey on Insight Timer started because I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. And I wanted to be able to do things like this, go on camera, you know, talk to people that I didn't see. I'm very much an introvert, did not like being on camera. Zoom meetings at work, if I could be off camera, I always had the camera off. You know, I had to be like forced to turn that camera on. So that's what makes me roar. It's been this journey of finding my voice, which has been for me amazing. You know, I go live now and I ramble and I'm like, who is that person? You know, because I was the one who didn't like to talk. And I was the one that was always giving other people credit for anything that I did. And Jill, who is here with us today, holds a very special place in my heart because one of the very first Ask Your Guides that Melanie and I did together, I had invited Jill. And Jill sent me an email and said, hey, I watched some of your replays. You know, you're doing a great job. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not me. You know, and I was giving credit to everybody else. It's the guests. It's my co-host. And, you know, Melanie is an amazing co-host, but I was not taking any credit for anything. And Jill was like, they were all great, but I'm not going to let you do that. And that was such an eye-opening experience for me. I was like, my God, she's right. Like, why am I playing small? Why am I minimizing what I'm doing on this platform? You know, it's just as important as what everyone else is doing. So, you know, huge gratitude to Jill always for that. Huge gratitude to Melanie, who was my original co-host when I did Ask Your Guides, and to you, Dakota, because of you, I've decided I no longer need a co-host. So
yeah,
that's what makes me roar.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Melanie, you want to go?
Yes.
Tell us what makes you roar.
Well, hello, everybody. What makes me roar is just being able to be me. And I don't like to be judged. And it stems from, I think, when I was a kid, my parents did not judge me. They were like, be you and don't worry about anybody else. But I found out other people aren't like that. And so when I dyed my hair blue when I was 12, you know, and did all the crazy things and was wearing combat boots, I think I did it as a test to see how others would react. And my parents were extremely supportive. And I grew up in a small town in Virginia, and I saw there was so much judgment. But I was still the person who was like, hey, I want to live here. I grew up here. But when I moved to New York City, I really roared because I felt at home, and I felt in this space of I could just be me and be the person that I always am and not worry about people judging me because people didn't. And I've just tried to live in that space always because I do feel like I'm naturally very authentic. It's so obvious if I'm not. I'm a Scorpio manifesting generator, and if I'm bullshitting you, you notice right away.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Jill.
Yeah, so I would say my roar is a combination of what both Violet and Melanie said, and probably what Dakota's going to say. I think that's why we're here together. And if you're just joining, roar is about being real, open, authentic, as Melanie mentioned, and being in your radiance. And I actually had a call with a friend yesterday that I hadn't talked to for a while, and she's like, my next quarter, my next 90 days, I am keeping my brilliance, I'm finding my brilliance. And to me, that's similar of being radiant. For me, I know that when I feel at home within myself, that I am in my roar energy. So, we're going to talk later about the world is chaotic right now. Your actual world close to you, your community may be as well. But for me, I just find when I know where I'm supposed to be within myself and what that feels like, I can find my voice. A little similar to Violet, and I say this a lot of my Yoga Nidra sessions here on Insight Timer, I have never loved my voice. So I used to do stand-up training, different things. I can share more. I worked in corrections. I worked training crazy horses. And as much as people told me how my voice and my energy affected crazy horses and people in prisons and crime, all of it, I always used to say, I don't like my voice. I don't like my voice. So I found my roar in doing Yoga Nidra, leading Yoga Nidra, because it's voice driven. And I had to say to myself, it really doesn't matter what I think of my voice. I am getting feedback that it's helpful for people. It feels real. And it's a way that's my brilliance. It's a way that I can help people. So I have learned to, again, similar to Melanie, is just, I am who I am. Like it, take it, leave it. It's all good. And I feel my roar when I feel at home within myself. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Dakota, how about you?
Well, I think I have two different kinds of roars. One is the roar, I'm on fire and everything's working out really well. And the other roar is, I just want to crawl into a hole and die. And I've been feeling like, and some days I go between both of them in a matter of moments or a matter of hours. But all in all, I think that what makes me roar is really seeing people transform and move into the clearest version of who they are, and being able to be a part of that with them, whether I'm walking alongside them in that journey or helping them through some of my teachings or whatever. On a personal level, roar to me is nature, for sure, and getting outside and really reconnecting to what to me is real. I echo you, Jill, where I didn't used to ever like my voice, hated it. In fact, tonight I hate my voice because I have so much stress right now with work. And so to be a meditation facilitator is really different for me, having most of my life hating my voice. So I'm glad to be where I am in my life now. And I think that the good roar, shows up almost daily, which I'm very grateful for, despite what's happening in the world. So grateful for that, for sure. But, and I'm glad, Jill, you mentioned so roar is real, open-hearted, authentic, radiant conversations. And I feel like that's so needed in our spaces. And we don't have it either from a level of being heard or from a level of being able to speak our truth. And so hopefully this will inspire others to kind of reach for that platform too. I don't know.
Yeah, and I was going to add, I love that this came about after that last peaceful pause that we had. Dakota and I had like this amazing conversation after that peaceful pause was over. And this was what we were talking about, right? About needing that voice and not being suppressed by other people. So, I was excited. I was excited that you came up with this concept and that you invited me and that you're hosting.
Well, now the tech part of it today was just like, oh my gosh, there's like a lot of bells and whistles. I'm used to just being me. It's easy when it's just me. And that's stressful enough.
I hear you.
But I don't know. I'm curious, Jill and Melanie, what do you guys, what's your greatest, well, for all of us, what's the greatest challenge in being able to speak up or to be in these kind of conversations in general?
I mean, I can say that I feel that part of my mission here is to speak up. And I started a company last year called R.O.A.R because Dakota, your face.
I'm tart what?
AF.
Oh, okay. I still have to Google acronyms. Like, what does
do you know what that stands for?
I'm gathering.
Yeah.
That you can't say it.
Yes, Violet. Yeah. So I put a little, my friend who I said, let's do this business together. She's like, well, that's such a bold statement. I told my aunt that that's what you were calling it, and she cringed. And I was like, that's amazing.
Does she not know you?
No, her aunt does not know me, but I was like, I want someone to cringe. I want them to be uncomfortable because I love being uncomfortable, and using my voice doesn't make me uncomfortable, but I think I'm here to help others feel uncomfortable in a good way. And so I did put a little disclaimer, always fun, always fabulous, for the people who can't hear curse words. But I just feel like being able to be in that space is really what sorry, Dakota, I was reading the chat. What is tart?
Yeah, I got the AF. I don't get
tart is like sassy, and tart is I'm a little tart. I mean, tart is a double.
She's a little tart.
I'm a little tart. Tart can also for some people mean you're a whore. And
I was thinking of cooking too.
Yeah, that too. I also feel like I love to challenge people's thoughts about what people are. I mean, growing up in New York City, as an adult, I lived in a space where it was okay for men to be doing whatever they wanted sexually. But even with women, you were considered like sleeping around still. And I always thought that was interesting. So I love to sometimes just say very outrageous things, true or not, usually true, but just to get people to think about their own reactions, their own thoughts, and where they're coming from.
I like that. I'm gonna have to adopt that, I think.
Well, it's trademarked.
Okay, that won't. I'll say, but Melanie's tart AF.
That's right.
Love it. What about you, Jill? Conversations. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I've been really fortunate and blessed. My mom and dad both encouraged me to speak up. My mom was very independent, grew up in poverty, was the first person in her family to go to it was called girls then, but a women's finishing school, all black women's college, the white gloves, hat, lipstick, all of that. So she taught me and spoke about speak up for yourself, don't care what people think. What's curious though, I got to sit back and observe her worrying about what people think, and that taught me something. So she could be a bit dramatic, like to be the center of attention. If everything wasn't exactly so, it was the what will people think. My dad very much encouraged me. Anytime I asked him, hey, Dad, I'm going to do this, I'm thinking about this, it was all about, does that make you happy? Does that feel good for you? I could tell him sometimes some outrageous things, or when I started traveling, he's like, just go and have fun. And my mom was, oh my God, what might happen? What will people think? So for me, it was framed very much, and I'm very much an observer ever since I've been a child. I watched people react to other people. I watched people speak from that place of fear. What will people say? Well, this isn't right. I don't know about this. My dad was a lieutenant colonel, base commander, and I remember a kid, I don't remember directly, but I remember being posed with the question of, oh, you're not supposed to play with enlisted kids. I didn't know what enlisted meant. And if you're in the listening audience, we have allegedly officers and we have enlisted. So I went home and I told my dad, I was like, I don't understand. I said, someone told me not to play with, he's like, who told you that? And he never explained the difference in enlisted and him being an officer. He said, you play with whoever you want, you say whatever you want. So growing up, that framed a lot of it. And what happened for me a lot in my career, I started out training horses. And again, I mentioned I had the crazy horses no one else wanted. And people said, you're not a horse trainer like other people. You don't train like most men do. You don't beat the horse into submission. And then I went on to work in corrections. And I mentioned that because my skills working with horses transferred to people. And people would say things like, you're not a normal correctional officer. You're not a normal volunteer. You don't act like most women act. You don't act like most, like whatever category they tried to put me in, I was met a lot with, you're not like most. And so similar again to Melanie, I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's part of my divine assignment. Like, can I meet people? Can I bring people along? Can I show people something different by not being in that pigeonhole? So I might be a little softer than Melanie, for example. Like I think we were talking earlier about how loud is your roar. I think I have a quieter roar on purpose, because I'll say to myself sometimes, I'm not going to let that person get away with their normal antics of, well, I'm this political party and I'm this color and I don't believe it. My objection. And so sometimes I'll get just really quiet, plant a little bit of a seed to do the same thing that Melanie said. Like, how can you get into your authentic voice? And you can't with all your preconceived notions, your experiences that didn't go well. So again, it was a little bit of that observing, and then realizing I still get told a lot, you're not like a normal yoga nidra teacher. You're not like a normal meditation teacher. And I'm just like, okay, does that work for you? Come on in. If I'm not normal enough, I'm just not for you.
Yeah.
And I don't need, I think like we've all said, I'm okay being authentic. I don't need to be for everybody. There's something for everyone, someone for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what disheartens me the most, is when I see people trying to fit the mold for everybody that they come in contact with. How can I morph myself so this person likes me? And you lose, it just whittles away at your soul. So after so long, you don't have any semblance of who you are at that point, if you're constantly morphing.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
So I have taught for 30 years and I taught adults from 25. And about 7, I was like, I really want to work with kids. And so I will say that working with kids, I have had to turn a little bit of that piece off for various reasons. I'm not going to, once in a while I'll curse, but I try not to in front of them. But I have noticed the past 6 months how much it's affecting me. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, okay, I have to figure out how to manage who I am and balance that other side of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Huh. How does that work for you to balance? Like, what do you do to balance that?
I don't know that I have found the entire balance yet. I think that what I bring to the table for kids is I'm breaking their preconceived notions. And I am a challenger. Actually, if people who have ever used words to describe me, one of the ones that they often use is a challenger. And so I try to challenge kids gently. I still will ask them questions that make them sort of think, but that other more bold side of me, I've had to drop down a little bit with them. So I think Tart AF was born of the balance of my other company, Nourish and Gather, because they are the whole. And I write a lot about why do we have to be one person or the other for people. We're a whole person. And for someone like me who has very distinct sides, I can be so bold and direct. And I'm also warm and nurturing. And they're not exclusive of each other. But I think people have a hard time with that concept.
Yes. I think that's one of the things that frustrates me the most about just the world in general is in women, is that there's this idea that women are more soft-spoken and gentler, and we have all these wraparounds that we like to, so women aren't too bold. And when we do kind of go out of that lane, there's a judgment or a preconceived idea. Oh, she must be whatever, XYZ. And that's part of the narrative I would love to crush here. And just, well, not just here in this space, but also just in life in general. So I love when I hear, like Melanie, what you're talking about is just being able to be genuinely who you are in all these different scenarios and still being respectful, but not choosing not to conform.
Yeah, I think it's because I do tap into that energy of, well, my mom always said, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, but my dad said the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And I grew up in the South with those two very distinct philosophies. But I say this all the time. My mom was 10 years older than my dad, and she was an engineer. My dad was an entrepreneur. So my mom made a lot more money than my dad. I grew up with people literally living, not following a mold. And people, it was her second marriage. People called her a whore also, because I know my sisters told me that they're my mom's from her first marriage, that people would not let their kids play with my sisters because my mother chose to get a divorce. And that, if it affected my mother, I never saw it. And she really taught me, you cannot worry about what other people think. And both my parents always said, and I think that's it, I heard this as a child, you cannot please anybody. So don't try. Like, just focus on you and not worry about everyone else.
That's amazing. My parents were the total opposite. Like, we had to stay quiet and never speak up. And I wonder where my whole, not being seen comes from. And I think back to my parents, I'm like, clearly that's where it came from. We weren't allowed to be ourselves. You had to just be very quiet and express whatever you were feeling. So when I hear Melanie talk about her upbringing, I'm like, wow, there's actually there were parents out there that did that encouraged their kids to speak up and be themselves. Cause that's not the world I grew up in.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, Bethany just commented on here, break the molds.
Yes.
We're all talking of, and I think we're going to get into this later of, some of the practices and the how-to, but, I really believe just because someone told you to be a certain way, or for me, I observed, spaces like this, practices, you can roar. I was trying to think, like, just to say it succinctly, find ways to roar in spite of, or in addition to what you've been told, what you've been taught. The four of us we're certainly not old, but we're a little on the older generation. And I think I have I have a 35-year-old niece and, some younger people that, especially women, that don't hear the same things, that I think I heard and I observed. So I'm really hopeful. I think we have different generations of parents, and just, I don't know how many people we have on Insight Timer right now, but however many people are on that wanted to come listen to this subject, like go out and teach that and talk about it and help people and support people finding their roar. Because I mean, there's lots of things that we've been told since we were, babies, and sometimes people
Yeah.
believe we heard it coming in or were brought in with it, but it doesn't mean that you can't change it and still, find your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think a big part of it is modeling to each other what that roar looks like. And Bernadette said something that I think we need to kind of highlight too, is that sometimes the roar isn't loud, it's soft. And sometimes that gets kind of glossed over when somebody comes from a place of, I'm like this a lot. People wouldn't believe that in this forum, but I take time when I'm talking, and I don't always like just spill it all out, and I don't yell it or anything like that. And I can't tell you how many times in a conversation that I'm in, if I'm just being that, I get just either shoved to the side, interrupted, and there's not room for that in a lot of conversations, that softness, that kind of slow roar that comes from within because you're thinking about it, you're feeling the answer. And I just want to kind of put that out there, that roar isn't loud always. It's just authentic in that moment.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I'm like you. I'm always soft, and I felt like a lot of people would walk over me. My ex-husband was a talker, and I felt invisible if I was in a room with him because he just took over the air. And
Yeah.
and I think from that I learned, like I started pushing back eventually, which is why I divorced him. And from that, I learned to stop letting people do that to me. Like I really felt like I was just always being walked on and ignored. And I was like, I'm not going to be the shrinking violet anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed for me when I started meditating, I became much more quiet and would sit and observe, but it would carry over into business scenarios. And Dakota, what you just said would happen all the time, is that there would be no space for someone who's actually observing and listening and like their turn. And
Right.
in the business world, I think that still exists in my experience quite a bit. And I've also had to learn to balance that because I really want to learn about people, but I have things to say too.
Yeah. People are uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I've had to learn to just, kind of sit in the silence because that was one of my biggest challenges when I first started doing lives. I was like, what do I do when it goes silent? Like how do I fill in that air? And I think that was one of the reasons also I wanted a co-host, because I was like, they can talk. They can fill up that gap. And I've learned as time has gone on it's okay. Once in a while you need a minute to think, and that's all right too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Violet, I'm just curious, do you know where that comes from? If that's not too personal, like, was it just always for you fill the space, someone's talking?
It's interesting because we always had to be quiet growing up. So why I'm uncomfortable with the silence, I think has a lot to do with that, because that was not a comfortable situation for me because I had to, we were being controlled. So when I have to be in silence, it's like I have to take control of the situation, and it's been a process of learning to let that go and to, reprogram all these old scenarios that I didn't even realize, it took me this long. It's taken me like 60 years to realize what I've been doing, how I've been holding myself back. They weren't holding me back. I was as I got older. There was nobody telling me to be quiet. I was doing that to myself. So it's definitely been a process to unlearn that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
But sometimes we, our behavior is such, our responses are such, and it's just, well, this is the way I always am, or it's just what I do, my body reacts naturally. And I think it's a beautiful practice to stop and gently, usually self-question, like, where does that come from? And it doesn't really matter how long you've lived with it. It's just like you noticed it, you recognize, and you shifted, and you're doing something different. So thank you for answering that.
Absolutely. It was a great question.
I think there's I wish that they would teach this young, like kindergarten up in elementary schools, the art of deep listening and communicating, but mostly deep listening, because so often people are just, I have to talk to people and they're, 2 sentences in and they're scrolling on their phone, or they're looking past you, or you can just tell they're waiting to jump in. And that deep listening is where that silence, I think, lives. But we don't have space for that in a lot of conversations. We don't have enough space for it.
Yeah, especially now because we're so bombarded with information. So you feel like you have to constantly.
Yeah. Well, we have some questions from, let me get my mouse working here. This one's an interesting one. Who wants to tackle this one first?
I would like to start. I would like to start with that one because I love that question.
Good.
Wait, which question?
Oh, it's on the screen right now. What is the weirdest or most out there spiritual or wellness practice you've tried that you actually ended up loving? When I got started on Insight Timer, I used to hear people talking about going in the shower and, washing off the feelings that you felt that day. And I thought, well, that, I have a lot of the woo stuff that I used to hear. I was like, that's just silly. That's not going to change anything. That's not going to do anything for me. But, I was like, I'll give it a try. So I think for the past couple of years, that has been my ritual. I'll stand in the shower. I release everything that bothered me. I actually go through it in my head. All right. Like, my husband annoyed me, or, the dog got in my way when I was trying to do something. Like, these were the things that aggravated me. This email from work. And I'm like, I'm in the shower. The water's running over me. I'm letting all this go. And I actually found that has made a huge change in my life. Like, I shower before bed. I release everything in the shower. I go to bed. I'm calm. I sleep like a baby. I tell people all the time, I don't know what insomnia is. I don't think I've ever had insomnia. Yeah, I know.
You.
I am a night person. I mean, that might have something to do with it. By the time I go to bed, I'm probably exhausted. But I think because of that ritual of standing in the shower, which I thought was ridiculous. I'm like, these people, on Insight Timer, these teachers talking about these rituals, they sound ridiculous. That doesn't work. And I tried it, and it has really, really helped me. So I love that question. I thought it was great.
Okay, I have to ask though, do you get the same effect if you take a bath?
I never take a bath ever. I am not a bath person ever.
Oh,
in fact, upstairs, we only have a shower. If I want to take a bath, I'd have to come downstairs. And when my shower's been out of order for whatever reason, and I've gone down to use the bath, I still stand in it. I will not. I mean, maybe if I had a huge soaking tub, I don't have one of those. Maybe someday. Well, that might change.
Yeah. Nice.
But I think I could pull it off in the tub too.
I can't. I do the same thing, and I don't pull it off in the tub.
No.
I actually take a shower after I bathe.
Wow. I want one of those big, like jetted, tubs, like a jacuzzi. I think that would help me.
Yeah. That'd be great. So shower, cleansing the ick off for the day. What about you, Melanie?
I actually thought this was the most difficult question because I don't consider anything weird or out there. And so I didn't have an answer. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, maybe what other people's perceptions are. I mean, I don't think on Insight Timer anybody has that perception, but like, I'm very connected to nature. I know you know that. So it's not a practice that a spiritual practice, but for me, and I don't think it's weird. I go outside every day and I lay down on the earth because it helps ground me. Or if I'm feeling anxious, I like run outside and stand outside on the ground. But at nighttime, I try to go out every night, even when it's cold, and lay down and just watch the stars start to emerge.
Mm.
It's not
Yeah.
weird, but it's just something that I love. I really do. I could not answer that. When I saw that, I was like, I don't think I ever do anything that's weird.
Maybe you
Yeah,
just
I've got a
don't
time
know
with
that.
it
Maybe
too.
you just don't know it.
I mean, exactly. It's not weird to me.
Right, right.
Okay, if
I
you were
love
going to go
being
to a
weird.
grocery store and you met some random stranger and they said, "Hey, what do you do for whatever?" What would you think, "Oh, this would be good, but this would be the weirdest thing that I'd tell an ordinary person who I don't know, who has no spiritual practices?"
I mean, that I practice transcendental meditation because everybody has a preconceived notion about that.
Ah, I'm getting a message from Grace that you guys can't hear us on. Uh-oh. Okay, you guys answer that. I'm going to see what's going on with YouTube.
Oh.
For me, it's a little similar to Melanie, because somewhere around, gosh, I think I was 30, I had bought a house and was worried about money. Didn't really need to be in retrospect, but I know that's why this roommate showed up. And Jennifer was like, called herself an angel, could hear things, see things. She's like, you need to eat raw. You need to talk to angels. Come here. I'm doing reflexology on you. You're going to learn Reiki. I was like, learn what? Do what? So I went through a lot, being her guinea pig sometimes, and she would have all kinds of different people in the house. I'm like, oh, you're in my house. Who are you? What's going on? It helped me, Dakota, when you talked about in a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably a little similar to Melanie. So I'm here in Mexico, and in Mexico, a lot of the houses have what we call bóveda ceilings, and they're brick curved ceilings. So I sleep under this beautiful brick ceiling that's, I don't know, 20 feet high, and there's glass at the top of it, and I can look out and see the moon. So a lot of times when I get in bed, the moon's shining on part of my bed, and I will move around to go to sleep and sleep under the moon. Now, I don't have a lot of knowledge of, moon cycles and the pole. There's a lot of people, I think, even online now that have a lot of expertise that way. But I know when I bought the house, I was like, oh, I can sleep under the moon. So I love, again, when I get in bed, I purposely will sleep any which way, to go to sleep under the moon. And I think a normal person in the grocery store would be like, number one, why do you have like a glass ceiling in your house? And I would need to explain in Mexico. It's basically a skylight. And then I think they would probably say, well, like, why? And I don't have a why. Again, I'm not an expert in what that does for me. I just feel a pull, and I feel like a little kid. And I don't always revert to feeling like a little kid that way. And it's like, oh, I get to sleep under the moon. So that would be my grocery store
I
story.
love that.
I do think when I talk about being a Scorpio manifesting generator outside of this community, people are like, what? Do you believe in that? I'm like, I believe in everything. Bring it on. Have you met me? Of course, I'm a Scorpio manifesting generator. And they're like, I don't know
That's
what that
great.
is.
I had a hard time with this question too, and I think it's I've been doing this, like, teaching spiritual work for 30 some years, and at a certain point nothing seems weird anymore. But if I had a nickel for every single person in my life who has ever started a conversation with me and said, this might sound crazy, but no, nothing's crazy. Nothing in my world is crazy. Although everything is crazy if you look at it from an outside point of view. But maybe for me, it's sometimes I'll do this in winter, but most often it's in the spring, summer, and fall, is I go outside in the pitch black every single night. and just stand there and stare until I can't figure out where I am. But the trees start to morph, the stars. But my practice started last summer too, of just seeing how well and how comfortable I could be in the pitch black without needing any source of light. Because in Maine, it's really super dark, and so you can't even see like in front of your face. So there are some times where I would be tripping over things, but when it got closer to it was maybe August, September, the interesting thing for me was learning how light changes, at least here in Maine, because prior, I would be able to go outside into the dark and I could see a little bit after my eyes got to be night eyes. I could see a little bit better and I could know where I was. And then there was a certain point where it was getting so dark because we're going into winter that I couldn't see anything. And that became my practice for a while, just in those latter months of fall, is how comfortable can I be in the dark, in the pitch black with nothing. Now, some people might think that's weird. I think it's actually kind of fun, but
I think it's very brave because I'm deathly afraid of the dark, and I live in the woods like you, and I would not stand outside in the dark the way you do. So I admire you for that.
You know, when I lived in North Carolina, it was also really dark like that. And I had some students who had come, they were doing Vision Quest. And I would go out and I would check on them. We had like 30 some acres. And so I'd have to hike to them and I'd, just to make sure they're safe and everything. And I was coming back from one of them one night and it was pitch black like I had just described. And I kept hearing this grunting noise. And it was getting closer and closer and closer. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then I felt something nearby. It was like 2 feet away. And I went up against a tree. And there were these two, all I can imagine was two bucks that started fighting. And they're all grunting, and I could feel their breath. Why they didn't run from me, I don't know. But that was the only time I was like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. A little crazy. But now I want to go out and I want to see it. What animals can I find right now? Well, that was a good question. I like that question. And for those of you who are here on Insight Timer, we're answering questions here. We're also answering some different ones on YouTube, if I can figure out the sound issue. But we have another one here. I'm saying that because on YouTube, we'll be answering some questions we won't answer here. Here's the next one. When you look back at your hardest year, what was the one truth or realization that actually got you through to the other side?
I love this question too. I'll start if no one else wants to start. I don't want to, I feel like I'm monopolizing the questions.
There's four of us.
Use your voice, Violet.
Yes. And
Yes.
I still am like, am I taking space that somebody else needs? I still have that issue. So thank you for the reminder. I was thinking about this question. I loved it because for me, my hardest year, I was, I've been married. This is my second marriage now. And I remember it was maybe 7 years ago. We had gone to see a marriage counselor. And, I was struggling not to repeat the same mistakes that I made in my first marriage. And one of the things that I felt was like, this person I'm with should be making me happy. They should be, and I should be supporting them in everything that they can't do and fixing everything that they, can't get done. And I think when I finally realized that it wasn't my job to fix everybody else and to, expect them also to make everything perfect for me, I think that was the thing that got me through to the other side. And most recently, a few years ago, I was listening to a video that I love to share with people. Viola Davis telling her daughter that she has to be the love of her own life, that no one ever told her that. And I thought, wow, like that blew my mind. I was like, yeah, she's absolutely right. Why am I waiting for, for my mom or my husband or my siblings to give me the validation that I'm looking for? Why can't I just be the love of my own life? And it seemed like such a small thing. I actually started ending all my journal entries with this line, I am the love of my life. But that has been life changing for me. Like it changed. I mean, I told my husband to stop going to marriage counseling because I didn't need it anymore. I was like, I'm okay. Like I don't even know why, like I can't even remember why I was stressing over these things now, It's like I feel so comfortable with who I am, with where I am. I'm not, I mean, yeah, there's moments where I still have these doubts or I'm looking for a little validation and I catch myself, like Jill, you were saying earlier. It's important to catch yourself. And that's what I do. I catch myself and I stop and I'm like, you know what? I'm the love of my own life. If there's something that I want, if something's going to make me happy, I'll give that to myself. And I do. And it's been amazing. It really has been amazing that, something almost so subtle could have been so life-changing for me. So that was mine. And if you haven't seen that video, I recommend it. Viola Davis telling her daughter Genesis that no one ever taught her that you have to be the love of your own life. And it's just beautiful.
That is really beautiful.
For me, I would say during the hardest year, maybe a hardest time, I think it was actually a couple of years, and again, processing through how to stay, we're talking about being real, open-hearted, authentic, and living in our radiance. Along with that roommate that I talked about that really opened my eyes to a lot of spirituality and mindfulness and different things, I used to have what I felt like were very weird death experiences. So I've not had a near-death experience, but I noticed very normal, everyday people. Some of the people were working in the corrections field. It could be people at a grocery store, different things. I would have some kind of off-the-wall or significant contact with them, and then they would pass away. So I remember I was in just a regular clothing store, and a guy that I knew went to walk by the window, and for some reason I looked back up and he had come back and he's staring from outside of the window at me, and I thought, that's odd, he's a little far away, he didn't wave or anything, and he just went on his way, ended up passing away. I was in the correctional environment and had a woman call me while I was on duty, and she'd been off work for a while, and she was very persistent about saying, I need to come back to work on Monday. And I said, Anna, don't worry, I'm not your supervisor, just wait until Monday or Tuesday, speak with your supervisor. And then I got a call about 12 hours later that she had committed suicide. So in the context of the question, and luckily my roommate was there for me, I started saying, like, I am not a death doula. That wasn't even a word back then because this was some time ago. I was like, I don't want this. I don't want, sometimes it's, we know the movies, we know people have experiences of people who have passed over coming to visit and giving messages, and it's either feels like beautiful, romantic, or auspicious. And I was just like, I don't know what this is, but I don't want people coming to me with these strange interactions and then they pass away. And what my roommate said to me was, along the lines of, you're being chosen for something. There's a reason that this is happening. You don't necessarily have to know the why, but decide what you're going to do with it. So I had to shift it from, oh, I don't want this, is this happening again, to what's my role in this? How do I stay real with this? How do I, obviously there's some reason and I'm supposed to do something with it. And I had to move from, because I can be very analytical, I'm a Virgo, I can be very analytical, I like things to make sense, I want that order. So then it became, when I would have what might feel like a kind of different interaction, I was like, wait, why is Melanie coming to me? Wait, why did I run into Violet? I even had one friend, she's childhood diabetic and was not expected to live long. And I talked to Dana a lot about all these experiences, and she came to me and she said, hey, I'm kind of feeling some way. She says, because, her life could have ended any time. And she said, if you see or hear something, like, will you let me know? And I had to let her know. I said, Dana, it doesn't happen that way. I don't know. But she was kind of feeling a little uncomfortable knowing that. And then we talked through it. So it wasn't my hardest year, but it was a hard gift, I will say, to kind of work through of like, what in the world am I supposed to do with this? And it was not something, how old am I? This was 35, 38 years ago. So I didn't feel like I could be authentic and say to people, hey, do you have this experience? What do you do with this? And luckily I had my roommate and a couple other people that just encouraged me to sit with it, be in it, see what comes, and be of service through all of it. And then about 3 or 4 years after that, it stopped. And I don't have those experiences. I didn't have the experiences anymore. So my share to people is, when there is difficulty, and it's all relative, sometimes just sitting with it and asking for help. And depending on your personality and makeup, maybe don't try to make too much sense out of it, rather than be in that feeling and be in that observing. I think, Dakota, did you want to share, or are you still working on, I think you're still trying to resolve YouTube?
Oh, I think you're muted.
Yep, I was over here screaming.
I have the sound working on YouTube. If you can't get it, we could always direct them to.
Still trying to figure out YouTube. Direct them to yours. That would be great. Violet! Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, that's so weird. Your voice came through somehow.
I was over here screaming.
You are having your hardest moment right now.
That might be the delay on YouTube that you're hearing.
It is a delay on YouTube.
That's freaky.
I have 15,000 windows open here.
Yeah,
Violet, if we can put your YouTube link up there somehow.
It's easy to find me on YouTube. I'm Violet108. I think I'm the only one there, other than some person who doesn't have but one little video. So I'm easy to find. It's just Violet108.
And obviously this is something I have to master before our next one. I haven't streamed to YouTube in 2 years. I forget that it exists.
Yeah, I hear you. Were we on Melanie?
Yeah, Melanie, and then I'll answer that one too when we get done there. Go for it, Melanie.
My hardest year was a few years. It was when I was not married before, but I lived with someone and we had a child together. And then he kidnapped our child. And it's very hard to talk about even today, because I felt so lost and I didn't know what to do. I was in a space of do I come in and be aggressive to get what I need, or what? And I felt like with this person, it was better to not be that way. And I will say this, when I was with that person, my mom said to me, I think you've lost yourself. You don't know who you are anymore. And so I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to give him space, because he's just reacting, because he's a reactor. But then after a few months, I realized he's actually has a systematic plan to take me out of my son's life. And anyway, we were in court for a long time, where he accused me of the most horrendous things that you would ever be accused of. He told me quite regularly that I was a piece of shit and that I wasn't worth anything. And that was really hard to hear when you do not believe that about yourself, but you have someone telling you so consistently that you're a horrible person, and that if you continue to parent your child, you would ruin their life. And I did so much soul searching and questioning about everything I did, and not always in a good way, right? And I struggled so much with, am I going to ruin my son's life? maybe I'm a bad mom. My mom, I was always the person who put myself first. So I was like, am I a bad mom? Maybe this person doesn't need me. Anyway, I, yeah, it was really hard. I mean, if anybody's ever been in court, we were not married. So in New York, if you're not married, you go to family court. And the court officers knew our names, which is very rare. And that's because we were there so frequently and we had a 2-week trial. And that's a long time. But anyway, I think what I realized that I could get myself through anything and that I wasn't that person. And I just had to remember that all the time. And I actually was always very athletic and I went running every day. And I listened to that song by Jimmy Eats World. If you guys know that song, Hey, Don't Write Yourself Off Yet. It was from a TV show. I don't remember the TV show because I didn't watch it. And every day I would just pound that into my head. Don't write yourself off yet. Don't let other people tell you what you are. And I felt like I couldn't talk about it to anybody. Because most people, I was 20, or I guess I was 30 then, but most 30-year-olds in New York City didn't have children. Just because it's a place where people don't have kids young. And I felt very isolated. But I realized I could get myself through anything. And also that I would always use my integrity for everything and that I would always be true to myself because he said so many horrible things about me to our son and I didn't want to be that person. But even though I still think that he's not a great person, I would not find myself doing that.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And our son is 29 and he says to me all the time, like, thank you, Mom, for not, and I did get full custody. But he would say, thank you, Mom, for not doing what Dad did and still does once in a while, which is say shitty things about who you are.
Yeah.
But that there will be if I ever have to go through that thing again, I can't possibly imagine. That was for sure the darkest moments of my life.
Yeah.
And Melanie and I have talked about the similarities, right, in our paths, because I let my ex, I let my kids go live with my ex, and I felt the same way. I felt like a shitty mom, and he was telling them that I was selfish. And we had such a long conversation. The two of us were like crying one day about this because we were having a conversation after I made this track about releasing parental guilt. And, I think that's why I picked a woman of resonance, because it's amazing to me how you think you're alone in these feelings. And then you talk to someone like the conversation that we had, and you're like, yeah, I'm not alone. And it's so good to share this with other people and know that I was not the only one that felt that way, right? And I see Melanie, who's such a strong person, and I think, wow, like my ex was always saying I was selfish, but I wasn't very strong at the time. So I started to believe maybe he's right. Maybe I'm selfish. I let the boys go live with him. What kind of mother would do that? So when I hear Melanie, who's such a strong person, saying she even doubted herself, I'm like, okay, I'm normal. This is normal.
And Violet has a great track about that. Actually, I called her and I was like, I freaking bawled like a baby. And I don't remember the name of the track, but it's Letter to My something, right, Violet?
Yeah, it's a letter to my younger self, releasing parental guilt. And I cried 6 times before I could record that. And after I recorded that, I felt like those 20 years of pain finally lifted. It was unbelievable to me that facing it that way, that writing this letter to my younger self saying, hey, you did a good job, like stop believing all that and let go of that guilt. Like that was so freeing for me. It was incredible. And that's where Melanie and I got to talking about it and cried over this track.
Oh.
And I just want to acknowledge there's a couple people in the chat, Annika and Caitlin, who's had similar experiences.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even I'm not a mother to biological kids, but I can't even imagine what that would feel like as a mother to have to fight for your child.
Yes, and I
even threatened.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, for me, it was 25 years ago when it started. So I've come out on the other side just fine.
Good.
Yeah.
But I did go through that. When I read those questions, I was like, oh God, that one I resonate with so much.
Yeah. And I was in
Yeah.
and out of court for probably about 8 years with mine. And it was really painful and it was long, and I couldn't wait to get out of it. I couldn't wait until my kids were like 18 so that I could finally be done with my ex, because, like Melanie's partner, he just wanted to ruin me. He wanted to hurt me. He wanted me to suffer because I didn't want to stay married to him. And, even though I had met somebody new and was and eventually got married, and my kids loved, their stepdad, he was relentless, their father. He just would not, he was living with another person and he wouldn't let it go. And it was a hard process to finally feel worthy again, and to tell myself, I'm not the person he said I was, and I'm not the person he tried to make my children think I was. And, it was amazing to me. I used to always say, someday they will know the truth. And, they're 28 and 31 now, and we have the best relationship, and we talk about it all the time. And they know that the things he said weren't true, but they learned that on their own. I didn't, I never put them in the middle of the situation. And I think as a mother, that's probably the hardest. It's the easiest thing for you to do, but it's the hardest thing for you to see. Like, I'm sure you felt that, Melanie, to have him berating you to your son and to just say to yourself, I'm not going to do that to my kid. I'm not putting him in the middle like this. That was hard.
Sounds impossible.
I mean, I can say it felt that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt like
But
it was
here you
never
are,
going to
though.
end. Yes, here we are. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, my answer, I think, is the hardest year. I just have, I'm just on the other side of it, actually. And it feels like I'm on the other side of it. I went through my dog dying in January. My mom died in February. In March, our son ran away. And in January, February, March, in April, my sister disowned me. And then there's like a few other things. It was like the hardest thing. And I went through complete burnout with work. And there were days I didn't even know what way was up. And my wife was actually my wife and a few friends were quite frightened because they didn't know if I would make it through the year or through any of that. And then the election happened, and we moved to Maine. And Maine was my saving grace. It was a reset button for me, because I got back out into nature and began reconnecting and taking the time to practice my practice, because I'd gotten so far away from my spiritual practices. And but that lead up to that, though, there were some dark days, and showing up to teach was just fingers on a chalkboard to me for some of it. And at the same time, work was the one thing that was saving me. Being able to be in the classroom with amazing students who are just as authentic as they come. And my dogs, my cats. But at the end of the day, it was getting back to my practices and doing what I always do. It's the mindfulness, the nature, the reconnection, the meditation, all of that. But Maine was able to give that to me that I couldn't get in Ohio, because that's where I had gone back to. That's where I grew up. There were so many trigger memories there. I moved away for a reason for 40 years. But yeah, it was a tough year. I don't ever want to go through that again. I don't ever want to go through burnout again.
And you said that was recently? That was last year?
Well, last year we moved to Maine, so up until December of 24.
I was going to say, because you've been showing up for your monthly lives. I would have never guessed. Would have never guessed.
Now, I've taught for a long time, and one of the well, I did massage. I taught massage therapy for a while first, and one of the things we teach in massage therapy is you shelve it. When you go in to see a client, you imagine there's a shelf on the outside of the door, and all your shit goes on that shelf,
Like that.
so that you walk in clean, and then you can come out and you can pick it back up and go about your day. And so I've always kind of worked like that, like
Wow.
to an extent. Like when in my everyday classroom with my students who have been with me for some of them for 8 years, they knew everything that was going on when it was going on. But here in these kind of spaces, yeah, I had to put on a face, and wasn't always comfortable. Like sometimes I'd get off an Insight Timer Live and I'd just be shedding in tears because it all came back. But and actually work in that sense became kind of not a crutch, but it was a respite from it for a while. It's like, okay, I can shut this down and not feel it for a moment. But when I got to Maine, I'll share this, and 256 people, whatever. One day I was sitting in my living room, and I was like in a half sleep, half awake state. But I was really feeling the depth of missing my mom. My mom was my best friend. I've been with that woman so many lifetimes, and I was just bawling. And then I kind of fell into that half sleep, half awake, and I felt her coming. And this is the first time since she had passed away that I'd seen her, and I could see her energy circling around our property, wrapping it in like iridescent, luminous ribbons. And then she kind of came. My mom, you have to understand my mom. She was this woman who loved sequins, and she loved glitter and dazzling and all the 9 yards. And she showed up, and she had like this funky outfit, sequins head to toe. And she's got this big grin on her face, and she says, "I love you, honey. And I'm just going to wrap this property up so that you feel all that love and joy from me whenever you need it." And I was like, oh my God. I started crying again. But ever since that was like a year ago that I had that experience. Every time I go outside, I feel these effervescent ribbons that contain my mom's joy. And it feels so good. Maybe that's why I like going outside anymore. But
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But I am in a much different place now. I am back alive and kicking.
Bethany said since you moved to Maine, you're definitely more talking on your lives and sharing a lot of your experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on the other side of it now. But, I have a lot of empathy for people who experience burnout, for one thing. Burnout and grief together. Man, that's a bad combo. But I can say this now. I'm happy for the experience to know the depth of that. And to know that I have that capacity to love so deeply that it hurts that much. That's a pretty good feeling, actually. I'm not a cold, hard rock. All right, so we're almost out of time here on Insight Timer. However, Violet, can you send me your link on your YouTube live link?
Sure.
And then I'm going to put that in my live feed so people can find us as we exit here and head over to that space. And just so you guys know, if you have, let me do this. Fancy gadgets here. Oh, wait. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. If you have a question.
Should I pop it in the chat for you, the link?
Yeah.
I think you should pop it in the chat.
Well, I meant our private chat, not the. I wish I could. I would. I meant in Zoom.
All right, I can't seem to move my QR code for. It's right over Jill's video. If you have a question that you would like to submit for our little roar, you can use that QR code.
And can I just say how impressed I am with all these little fancy tricks that you have here? I mean, people come to me for tech. I'm going to start sending them to you because I've not used QR codes or backgrounds or all these amazing things that you've done.
But you know what? I have no audio on my YouTube Live, so except for me.
That's probably just
so if you are on YouTube. Yeah, if you are on my YouTube Live and you can hear me, there is a link now in the chat to get you over to Violet's YouTube Live. So go there. You guys are kind in the chat box here. Thank you. Spiritual practices or other... Wait, Grace? Oh, spiritual practices and other practices that helped you get through past tough times.
I've been shaking. I like shaking.
Oh, yeah.
I watched someone do that once, and then I read how deer, like when they're, or any animal, when they've been really frightened, you see them shaking, and that's how they just kind of let it go. So that's, I started doing that now. And I actually have a machine that I stand on that will shake me. If I'm having a really bad day, I get up on there and I'll like shake for 5 minutes. The dog looks at me like I'm crazy. But I'm like, this is helping. This is helping me get that energy out.
Shaking is good. What else do you guys do? What do you do, Jill?
I think for me, Yoga Nidra, which I share here on Insight Timer, so I'm not doing it as a shameless plug, because people sometimes ask me, like, do you actually practice Yoga Nidra? And probably one of like a most recent story was I thought I needed back surgery, and I thought it was going to have to happen here in Mexico. I was like, oh, let's talk about all of that, because I'm away from my family. It's doctors I don't know. But one of the things that I did in the MRI here was I did Yoga Nidra in the MRI. And so I was like, and luckily I'm not claustrophobic to begin with, like that's helpful. But I literally thought I can lay here and catastrophize. I can lay here and feel out of control. If you're just joining, I shared earlier, like I like control, I like order. And I thought, laying here, I'm not going to change anything about what's going to happen or not happen by worrying. So I went ahead and did the body scan, and then I did it again in the US, and both times all the noise from the MRI. I said to myself, all that banging and clanging is literally like knocking my spine back into place, because it was an issue of some compression. I was like, that's just healing my spine. So I did my Yoga Nidra. I that's my go-to, is Yoga Nidra when I have, and sometimes it's also opportunities. We've talked a lot about difficulties, but I think it's really important to have practices when you have big opportunities in front of you that might be scary. You're not sure the decision to make. But for me, I practice a lot of Yoga Nidra as well as offering. And just, I'm sorry for people, because people may say, well, that's great, but what is it? It's another practice that drops your nervous system back down into what we call theta and alpha brainwave state. For those of you that like the science of that, it drops you out of fight or flight, and you come back home to yourself to, what do I need to do? What do I want to do in this situation? Rather than running on fear and adrenaline and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's a great meditation or mindfulness practice.
Wonderful. I love that. And I have your card down there. So your next event is coming up, 26th. Yes, that's in 2 days. Nice. All right. What do you do, Melanie?
I do a lot. As a former panic attack sufferer, I have a whole toolkit. I do a lot of shaking. Also, Violet, I'll go outside and just move. Again, like I said earlier, connecting with nature just helps me calm down. And then I also pray. I don't pray to like a God that maybe some of us envision, but I had surgery in 2020, I don't know what year it was, 2024, I had a lung tumor and it was lung cancer and I was terrified. I didn't smoke. They said it was from 9/11, and my mom died from lung cancer, and my sister had lung cancer and she died a year ago in April. But I had it before, but she had lung cancer, but she had not passed away. So I was really scared. And I remember, and they were going in just to biopsy it, but I had to go under general anesthesia. And I don't love that stuff. And so I remember being hooked up to the monitor and just hearing my heart racing. And hearing my heart racing to me is a trigger that I'm going to have a panic attack. Because as a 20-year-old, when I would have panic attacks, that was the first thing I would start to feel would be my heart racing. So I remember, like, I was like, okay, you're safe. And I really also believe in our ancestors being with us, and very strongly. Like, I know my parents and my grandparents are with me every day, and that helps me in everything. And so I was like, Mom and Dad, I know you're here. And the anesthesiologist, she came over and she put her hands here on me. And she said, let's say a prayer. And I think for an anesthesiologist to do that was amazing. And that helped me calm down, because I do that anyway. And just having someone else remind me to get me out of that moment was amazing. So I feel like I do have a toolkit of things that I do.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm glad you're still here.
Me too. I got a lot. Can I just say something? I want to say this. When I was 18 or 19, my sister took me to a palm reader. And I only remember two things he said. And one of them was, oh, I see you've had a lot of boyfriends, which was true. But the other thing he said was, when you're in your mid-50s, something is going to appear very catastrophic in your life. And you're probably going to think you're going to die. And he's like, but if you look here, you're not. He's like, it's a temporary blip. And I forgot about that completely.
Oh, wow.
And then when this came up, I said to my sister, oh my God, do you remember taking me to that palm reader? And she was like, oh my God. And he's still alive. And she connected with him because she still lives in Virginia. But isn't that insane?
Yeah, that is insane. That's crazy. Crazy good.
Yes.
I think the practice I always return to just simply is going outside. I have my window overlooks our yard, and I've got my feeding station down there for all the animals. And when I'm lying in bed and I can't sleep, I have cameras all over my property. Not tamed to keep anybody out or watch for anybody, but it's all for the animals. So I've got my deer cam. Last night there was a fox and a raccoon and the deer. And there's just something very soothing. I mean, it's not like maybe this is my weirdest practice that most people wouldn't think is spiritual, but I love watching the animals. They just bring me so much joy, and just to be able to experience the proximity of that. Like, I can walk out into the woods now and they don't run away. And so I can stand there and watch them and just kind of be in that. And I keep moving my feeding stations around a little bit to get them acclimated to being further away from where my garden is. We'll have to have a talk about that later. But the ravens, all of them, they're just such a part of this landscape and my healing that's happened over the last year. But nature's my salve.
Yeah.
For sure. When I start getting too much here, like, our next question is, what does a typical day at work look like? And mine is it's so back and forth, because I feel like I'm Heckle and Jekyll sometimes. I'm here surrounded by computer monitors and amps and mics and all the stuff that I need for my sound equipment. And then yet I'm teaching something that's very esoteric. And so I have to go outside to recharge. So my typical day looks like 1,000 steps going up and down the stairs to go outside, walk around, regurgitate, think about, and then come back in, write, and then go back outside and do all that. But yeah, the practical and the esoteric.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I can relate to that, because my day, I work during the day remotely, and I'm analyzing data and I'm writing code and I'm all about the tech and the data. And then for fun, I do what I do on Insight Timer, which is completely different. So on the one hand, I'm being totally analytical, and then on the other hand, I'm living in this woo-woo world that I love. But I think it's that balance that just keeps me so together, like so grounded. And and like you, I'm in the woods, and I'll step out on my deck and I'll see the coyotes, and I'm fascinated, just like you. I don't go as close as you do, but I watch them from the deck. But I'm fascinated by watching how they interact with each other, how they interact with me, because they've gotten to know me and my dog. And they watch us, but they don't come near us. People are always like, aren't you scared? Because I've seen up to 5 coyotes in the yard at the same time. And I'm like, 12 years here, I've never had an issue with them. And I feel very comfortable that that's never going to be a problem. You never know. Obviously, I'm cautious.
Yeah.
I stay away. But I almost feel like we have this understanding. I know this is their home, and I'm the intruder. And so I keep my distance, and they're here and they're doing their thing. And I'm just watching and enjoying them. And I think the 12 years of living here is the calmest I've ever been in my entire life. Like it really, it takes a lot to get me riled up now. It happens occasionally, and if I'm out, I can't wait to be home. It's like this is my place. This is where I am at my happiest, at my calmest. It's almost like this place was waiting for me. And I love that. I love that feeling of being home. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wendy will say to me once in a while, she'll be like, you haven't left the house in like 2 weeks. Like,
why do I need to?
Do I have to? Or she'll go, do you want to go out to dinner tonight? And I'm like, not really.
Same here.
I love being home. I am a complete introvert homebody.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes my husband will be like, hey, let's go get something. I'm like, just bring it home. Pick it up and bring it home. I'm fine eating here.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we want to move over to YouTube at this point? Okay. Let the lid off. All right, you guys. So you've got we each have lives coming up. So Jill is probably the closest in 2 days, right, Jill? Saturday?
Yep. Sunday.
Or no, Sunday. At what time?
Sunday will be, I have to be careful because in Mexico we don't practice daylight savings time. So it is
here, I got it.
11 Pacific.
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think.
And 12 Pacific. The nice thing with the app is when you guys, or most of you know this, when you click to join a session, it will show in your own time. So.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I hope to see you all on Sunday for Yoga Nidra specifically. For
Yoga Nidra. And then Melanie, yours is what date?
May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay. And then May 8th for Violet?
Yeah, the musicians, yes.
Okay. And then I'm on April 30th. So you guys can join us in one of those lives. It'll be just a solo. And Bethany, I did miss your question. So you're going to have to ask it again. And make sure you flag me in it. Somebody will find it for us. And but thank you guys for joining us here tonight on Insight Timer. And is there a way that we can do your link somehow?
I just keep telling people to search Violet 108 or, well, I can't. Everything I could mention, I'm not allowed to mention here. Violet
you could put it in.
I was going to say, if you go to violet108.com. Yeah, just Google me.
And you can also just put it, you can just put it, I wrote it in the chat a couple times. Just Google it. It comes up immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Okay. So Violet 108 on YouTube. And we'll be there here in just a little bit. We're probably going to do a quick little reset here. But I do want to play one thing here. Hang on. I think. Can you guys hear it?
Roar, roar, conversations deeper than the dirt. Roar, open-hearted where truth lives.
It's only 50 seconds long.
Love it.
Cause being fake doesn't work. Roar, radiating every word. Conversations where women are heard. Be real, be open-hearted, be authentic.
You know, Viola, I'm going to make one that's going to force us all to dance.
Hear women roar. Yeah, we roaring now.
Jackie.
Yes.
See, we don't have the added advantage where we can see them dancing.
Right?
All right, you guys, we'll see you over in YouTube, and you guys have a great, beautiful, wonderful night. And Nancy, that is a song that I created, so it is not me nor her or them. All right, see you guys over there.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. All right. We are still live here in Lululand.
And Violet, we're still live on your live, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops, I have to
Yep.
mute myself here. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah,
Yes.
so don't like burp or anything. don't get really embarrassing. All right, I'm going to end my stream. And
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the sound issue before the next one.
yeah. Yes, we will. All right, now we're over here on, oh, look at you. It's like a party over here.
Now it's
I love
throwing me
it.
off.
Love that song. Love that song.
Yes, yes, me too.
Great. Lots of good.
I have a full version of it. It's like 5 minutes
Gorgeous.
long. It was fun to make. All right, so everything look good on your side there?
Yep, everything's working good. It's just throwing me off because I opened it up and, because of the delay, I had to.
I know.
I had to look back over here because I'm like, now I'm picking up the delay and you're talking. And I'm like, wait, she just said that.
I know.
So I'm trying not to
right,
look
well-
at the screen over there.
Well, we have to. We'll try to keep up with the questions in the chat box there. I have it up too, so we'll see what we can do.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There's a lot of questions.
Suzanne may be asking, she said, love this. I think this song, Who Is It? So Dakota, you may want to share again, maybe?
You want me to play the song again?
I'm going to say sure, and then let people know it is you. Yeah, I love this song.
I created the song, but I am definitely not the one singing it. But I have found a really beautiful way to give expression to something that I've always been able to create, which are lyrics. I come from a family of musicians, and I play by ear for like all the instruments that I know how to play, but I don't have the gift of writing music, but I hear it in my head all the freaking time, like just nonstop. And AI actually has been a beautiful transition for me to be able to find a way to make that music in my head come to life and get it out. So I use AI to produce it, and then I create the lyrics and I create the direction of how that song's going to be played and created. So I'm having fun with it. But that's why, and everybody always asks, like, who's that singer? Is that you singing? I'm like, oh, freak no. That's not me singing. You don't want to hear me sing. But yeah, I love making music. Love it. So we're here in YouTube, and part of the purpose of doing YouTube is because on some platforms we're not as we can't be as open as we can't say fucking shit. So,
I said it earlier.
well, you said AF.
I did say shit though. But
Okay,
anyway,
well.
I love saying fuck. So here we
I
are.
did too.
Fuck.
Fuck. You know what though? Isn't that the truth? Like cuss words have so much power when you can say them with full force. It doesn't feel the same when you say fudge.
No.
Not at all. I always have to I have to apologize to everybody I meet because I cuss so much. I'm like a sailor.
I
Yeah.
once said to my husband when we moved to Westchester, we were having a birthday party for our son and they forgot and they were painting the place. And I said to him, "What the fuck?" And then later, this woman came up to me, it was a tennis club, and she goes, "Oh, you were the one that was talking like a truck driver." And I was like, "No, I was talking like a chef, not a truck driver, because I was a chef." And I just was like, why do we have to box a truck driver into this? Like,
Right.
I thought
Yeah.
that was also her notion that truck drivers curse was hysterical.
It's all these stereotypes, right? That people put other people in based on who they are, what color their skin is, what their sexuality is, what their gender is, or their job. One of my favorite phrases was always, don't put me in a box too small for the size of my spirit.
Ooh, I love it.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's how I always kind of feel. It's like, don't pigeonhole me into something that you think you understand when you don't even know who I am at the core level. But yeah, we like to do that to people.
And
So-
that comes from our own experiences, not the person in front of us. Like, again, Melanie, that person was a stranger, probably had no idea why you were saying it, no reference, didn't know you, but oh, she's a truck driver because she's acting or cursing like a truck driver, that degradation, I guess. And
To
Yeah.
her, I didn't feel that because truthfully, I've had to school a few people on how important truck drivers are to our lives.
I love this.
Yeah.
You won't get your produce. You're not going to get your clothing. There's so many things in your life you're not going to get. So go ahead, look down on truck drivers who bring you everything you need.
Yeah, like that 2-day delivery from Amazon that you want really badly because you know it serves no purpose other than to stroke your ego, but that comes by a truck.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy how we do that with people. I always remember that, like during COVID, the frontline people were really considered the people working at the grocery stores, and kept our society kind of running. The mechanics of it.
Yeah.
So we have some interesting questions for YouTube, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding a lot of the students that I work with, what's happening in the world is really affecting on so many different levels: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. And so the question is, I am so terrified and angry by what is happening around me. There's no peace. There's no peace. It feels, how do you hold on to hope? How do you continue to create peaceful content when the world is off its axis? Who wants to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, I do. I actually feel more inspired to work harder and create experiences that bring more peace and calm into the world more than ever. And I also try to be equally as respectful to people that I disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a sister who will not speak to anybody who has a different political belief than she does. And I understand how she feels, but I don't operate from that place because I try to teach people about connecting and that we do fundamentally, we all have things in common, even with the people that you don't think that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my main goals, not goals, roles, is to show people that. And how I do it is through food. And so I recently wrote a newsletter and I talked about a vinaigrette. You know, a vinaigrette, I said, you probably have heard that oil and water don't mix. In a vinaigrette is vinegar, which is water, and oil, and they don't mix, and you try to blend them and they separate. But you add an emulsifier for a vinaigrette, it's mustard. and it binds it together.
Really?
And yes,
It's good
there's
to
other
know.
binders, but that Dijon mustard binds it together. And so I'm like, you just have to find your mustard with a person. And that can look like, and usually food is the mustard because, I teach classes called Kitchen Passport, and I teach
Mhm.
people about like, it doesn't matter if you're, Korean, Indian, American, whatever. There's Puerto Rican, there's
Mhm.
rice in your culture. There's a dumpling in your culture. We have these things in common, and these are bridges to help us remember that there's a human on the other side.
Yeah.
I love that you said
Yeah.
that because when I was in college, I'm 100% Puerto Rican, and I don't think I had ever realized I was Puerto Rican until I went to college because I grew up in New York City. Everybody lives in New York City, and suddenly I'm in this small college with, I was the poor scholarship kid. There were a lot of girls there from affluent families. And they would ask me questions like, what do you eat for Christmas? And all of a sudden I was like, I had no idea I was different. Like I was like, am I different? And I'd say, well, I eat kind of the same stuff that, like, what do you eat? Like we're pretty much eating the same stuff. So I love that you said that because it's so true, right? There's so many similarities in, the rice or, if you have, turkey for Thanksgiving or a roasted pork or whatever. And I think until I was in college, I had no idea that I say to my husband, I said, I think I'm from another planet because I don't notice these differences like everybody else does. So I'm always asking him, I'm like,
Mhm.
what is wrong with me that I'm not fixated on these differences? Like when I went to college, I didn't see people as, Puerto Rican or black or white. We were people. I'm like, why can't we just be people? So I
Yeah.
tell him all the time, it kind of blows my mind sometimes that I don't think that way. And I'm convinced I'm from another planet. And when the mothership comes back to get me, it will all make sense to me.
Love it. I think
Yeah.
that we talk we last Saturday I ran a medicine circle and talked a lot about what's happening in the world right now, and from a human perspective, but also from the perspective of like historical. I teach a lot on the priestess and Celtic cosmology, and I think one of the things that we always kind of forget is that when we talk about goddesses and priestesses and these kind of people, is that it's always been love and light, and they're exuding all this divine feminine and stuff like that. But they would have a sword in one hand and a chalice in the other. And there was no delineation between being a warrior and being a spiritual person. They were one and the same sometimes. And we've gotten so far away from bridging those pieces of our life that like it's compartmentalized. I'm going to be spiritual over here in my practice on my meditation mat, and then when I'm done, I'm going to go over here and I'll work and do what I need to do. And that compartmentalization that we've done has really eroded the fabric of I think, the quality of life that we have. Because we're trying to juggle and be different people within these roles. It's one of the things that I struggle with on Insight Timer, to be honest, is that I have to put this part of myself over here and bank it and not talk about it, not address it, not, it's like,
Right.
don't address the elephant in the room that we're all
Right.
experiencing. And really that being able to speak about it is part of the spiritual path of it.
Yeah, I feel like we
And
have
not
to
feeling so
censor
alone.
ourselves, right? You have to censor yourself so
Yeah.
much, and it's hard because you're constantly thinking, "Oh, I can't say that. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go there."
Yeah, I've had people say to me, like, if I've get whatever, well, that's not very spiritual of you, Dakota. I'm like, the fuck, it's not.
It's true because it's
It
honest and
is.
authentic. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that meditation's going to be the end all be all to world peace.
Right.
It's part of it, maybe, but there's a bigger, greater part of it there that we have to step up, especially as spiritual leaders, I think. And that's the part we all have to figure out how we do that.
Yeah, I've often said one of the hardest things I've had to deal with is the fact that my husband voted for somebody that I don't care for. And that was a challenge. That was part of I think probably part of the marriage counseling for a while. But that was a huge challenge for me. And what I drew from that was that I had to learn to love people for who they were, not just for what they believed in, because obviously if it was what they believe in or who they voted for, then we could not be together. So
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, I struggled with that for a long time. Sometimes I still do. It's hard.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in and say that, with all that is wrong and difficult in the world, being in rooms like this, even though we're connecting, online, where you can have conversations that are good for you. You can have conversations that, maybe put things up against your belief systems that challenge you. You can be in conversations that give you knowledge. I was kind of not so much outside the spiritual world, but I wasn't, raised like my mom and dad were not Reiki masters, didn't teach yoga nidra, I did go to transcendental meditation at 14, but I think they went because it was a fad and they're just like, oh, you're going too. But I have learned so much from other people about what spiritual practices can be. And somebody mentioned on the live, they talked a little bit made a comment about labels. So I think sometimes the minute we say, oh, you teach meditation, or you are a chef, or you are this or that, again, it comes with all of that baggage. So I really like to ask people questions, and I love hearing and overhearing conversations about who specifically Dakota is, or who specifically Violet or Melanie or many of the people who are joining
And that's
us.
so hard to answer, right?
Because sometimes the labels just don't, yes, by my skin color, I am Black or African American. Being here in Mexico, there's huge conversations about you can't call yourself an expat, you're an extranjero. No, you're an immigrant. No, you're this or this. And sometimes I say to people, they don't have those conversations with me very much because I'm a little bit of an introvert. Unless a conversation is going to teach me something or I have something to bring to the table, I just don't jump like, oh, let's talk about politics. What's the outcome? Like, what's the purpose? Like, why, we're very clear why we're here now on YouTube with this R.O.A.R session. So sometimes I just, I share with people, what's the need for the label? And it can sometimes give people that self-comfort. Well, if I'm talking to you and I know that you're a chef and you were trained classically this way, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's putting that spirit in the box rather than tell me what brings you joy. Tell me about your career. Tell me about how you were navigating this difficult world.
Yeah.
And the focus doesn't need to be so much on, well, this country should do that and the president should. No, who are you being and what are you doing? And Dakota did raise something. She roared doing a prior session when we were getting, for me too, a little into that love and light and just meditate and do yoga nidra. And when you see appalling images and you know what's being done to people, and it goes back to have those real conversations. And we none of us can fix overnight any of what's happening, but we can listen and support each other as to where we're at. So wrapping this up, like one of the things that I try to do, and again, it can be a spiritual practice. I don't need to name it. Ahimsa. Try not to do further harm. So here in Mexico, like one of the things I love to do is people love to look you in the eye and smile. And I think I'd shared with the other panelists. My endorphins, my hormones, my sense of feeling good flares like is brilliant daily because people look at me and smile. They step off the sidewalk. They're kind to me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking if I can model that, if I can teach that in return, which, I do a lot, that's a peaceful way of being in the world. It's not going to solve all that's going on, but I certainly don't need to bring more chaos unless it's intentional and there's teaching behind it. But, in this already chaotic world, maybe, a question to ask ourselves is, are we showing up chaotic? Are we adding to the violence? Are we adding to the difficulties? And is there another way? Even if you have an important message to get across, what's your language or avenue for that? And it doesn't have to be quiet necessarily, but are you just screaming and hollering or being quiet like everyone else? In the spiritual world, I know it's difficult for yoga studio owners, for meditation teachers, like, oh, I have to take a stance. I don't know, do you? And you don't have to take a stance before you're ready. What is your stance? Don't take a stance that everybody else is. Like, check out and see, what is your stance supposed to be and want to be.
Yeah.
That's a little of how I feel like most of the time I navigate in this difficulty.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing? What do I want to be doing? I call it the divine assignment.
Yeah. And like Melanie said earlier, like, what can we do to make things better for other people? Like we did the peaceful pause, and I'm always looking for ways. I'm like, how can we bring a little calm? It doesn't mean that what's happening doesn't exist, but just for right now, for this hour, we can sit here and enjoy music and enjoy being away from the stress and the news and the constant bombardment of negative information, So that to me is like such a big part of why I keep doing what I do on Insight Timer.
Mm-hmm. I think, though, too, that there's, at least from what I've been hearing from a lot of my students, is that there's no real place for them to be angry and enraged and fearful.
There is a teacher on Insight Timer I can direct them to who's very angry, and Melanie and I have watched her a couple of times and been like, oh my gosh.
Whoa.
We can send them there.
There you go. There you go. I think that's a need in the spiritual community, is a place to feel like you can come undone and not be judged for it.
And unfortunately, we can't do that on Insight Timer because, they'll squash you.
Yeah. I just think that there's, and these times are unprecedented. I think that it's,
absolutely.
Nobody really knows how to navigate it easily. I don't know.
I also, I sometimes feel like I struggle with it because I'm fortunate that I'm not experiencing some of the things that many, many people are. So I do come back to what can I do that will make a difference. And I really try to do that on my own small scale. And I think if we all did that, it would make a bigger difference. And then once in a while, I'm called into I have two very good friends who have extremely different political beliefs than I do. And we went out to lunch one day, and this was when ICE was really ramping up. And I feel like a lot of people stick their head in the sand as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And, my one friend was like, I made a mistake with whom I voted for. And I think that was hard for her to admit. But she said this was actually not the person or the administration that I voted for. I didn't think these things were going to happen. And I think some people don't feel that way at all. I think some people are seeing that, and I also remind myself it's temporary.
Yeah.
And I remind myself that I really believe this had to happen because I think something better is on the other side.
I agree.
Yeah.
I pray
too.
that this chaos and violence teaches us a little bit more about loving thy neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that there's that part of us that it feels so surreal right now that nobody knows how to navigate it, truthfully. And yet when I look at the spiritual side of it, it's like, yeah, we are on the other side of this. It's going to be amazing because the breaking down of the structures has to happen. And it is happening. But to be in it is just soul crushing sometimes. And I'm having even just before our call tonight, going back and forth with my niece because she wants to come visit me, but she wants to bring her boyfriend. And her boyfriend was considering joining ICE. And I'm like, I can't have that here at my house. This is my sanctuary. This is where I'm safest. And
I feel that.
I don't put out my address to anybody. And so he's not welcome here. And so we're going back and forth about it, but she's 19. She doesn't understand. She's like, yeah, but they're just targeting immigrants. You're not immigrant. I'm like, I am third on the list, honey. Gay, woman, Democrat. I am on that list. And maybe it's not today, but by God, it probably is going to be at some point. And it's like that level of disbelief that we are where we are. And some people think that's, over exaggerating, but, no, it's not. It's happened several times in our world, in history. And we're repeating that cycle. Which is frightening. Should I ask a different question?
I was going to say it is frightening, but it also makes me think, because we have been through, historically some really horrific stuff and come out better for it, or on the other side, or I don't know if better, but, stronger. So I kind of cling to that, when we see what's going on. It's like, well, it's not the first time something awful has happened. Maybe because we have so much social media and the internet, it's the first time that we're all seeing it at the same time. And, hopefully that'll be a good thing, that we come through this and see it for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at Scarlett's question. She finally found it.
Oh.
You said you didn't consider your time with the wildlife in your backyard as being spiritual. I asked why. I think if you're communing with beings that can't communicate with our language, that's divine to me. You can't build a relationship with wildlife or domestic animals based on nothing less than magical. Absolutely. I do think that it's one of the most spiritual things I do, is communing with wildlife and nature. But to the outside world, they think I'm nuts. People hate to hike with me because I will stand still for like 10 minutes in one spot and just look. They're like, Dakota, what are you doing? Looking for a squirrel.
Whose kitty is that? It's so cute.
She's begging to get out of my room. So you guys continue. I'll be right back in a second.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, I was loving the kitty, and so were some of the comments.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's not judge the kitty. Let's not judge that the kitty needs to be out of the room.
Annika says, I do have faith that goodness will return. Faith that goodness will return. Yeah. And I said, me too. I have that faith as well. And I think that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me strong through all of this. And, even with my husband who voted for that person, I see him. Yeah. I see him starting to change his way of thinking. And I'm like, oh, what a relief.
Yeah.
What a relief. And sometimes I'll make little digs to like the price of gas. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about that price of, and I'm like, Violet, stop. You're just like, you're almost being childish. It's like you're egging him. I'm like, see what happened? See?
I think it's also important to remember there is actually still a lot of goodness here.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I look at what's happening in Minnesota, just the level of community that came together and people helping people. I mean, that's what it's going to take. That's the world we need to build. They're like ground zero.
Yeah, exactly.
And in my eyes, they're like I think DC needs to be crushed, and we need to move our capital to Minnesota.
Right?
That's a good idea.
Because the president needs to be able to withstand that cold to be good enough. I don't know.
In all of this too, I'm sometimes pleased, sometimes it's just interesting to see other world leaders step forward, and just again their take on what is the U.S. now, what has it been, and I think there's some good discussions going on about power politics in any country, no matter what it is, and
Yeah.
maybe again it's a there's a lot going on that is not good, but I think it's also eliciting conversations that have not been had before. Sometimes younger people in countries, in places of power that are stepping forward. Trying to, I was on a trip somewhere, and I may be off that. Can't remember. Was it in Pakistan that young people, they stormed a parliament somewhere? Again, I don't even remember which country. But in many countries, there is a lot of upheaval and people roaring, using their voices. So
And I'm seeing a lot of that
I hate that.
with younger people, which makes me really happy too, because that's our future. So to see
Yeah.
that kind of, because I didn't see that so much, 20 years ago as I see it now. And that's a comfort too, to know that this younger generation is stepping up and, and taking that place.
For sure. Huh. It's a fascinating world we're in right now. And, I think about 10,000 years ago is when patriarchy really came into play. But before that, we lived in a matriarchal society. And it was governed by women and ran very differently.
We need to go back to that.
So, yeah, a lot of people think, okay, well, we're coming into the divine feminine like it's a brand new thing. It's like, no, we're returning to it. We're reclaiming it. And that's the piece that it's like we're taking back what was stolen. I don't know.
I also find it fascinating how many other countries have elected a female leader. Pakistan, Israel, UK. I mean, I'm
Mexico.
just like
Mexico.
Mexico, yes, and others. And I'm like, yet here we are. We're still fearful of a woman being president.
Yeah. Yeah. We're having this discussion a lot in our classes right now because in my mind I work a lot with the medicine wheel, so it's looking at all the different directions, and for this to really work, we have to begin living from that north-south vein of the medicine wheel, which is feminine. So right now it's like we live in a system that really elevates the east-west paradigm, which is mental and manifest, like what do I have accumulated, whatever that might be, and then the mental body. And if we're putting women in power, but we're not changing the system, we're still doing the same thing. It's like the entire system needs to be changed. All that was like a 2-hour class, so I can't encapsulate it completely. But
I think even you're right, Dakota. And also, I think we need to start getting more women elected. There's an
yes.
organization here that just trains women on what they need to do to get elected, which I think,
Oh, wow.
right. And I would do it, but I'm truly not electable at this point in my life. And when I was a teen, I wanted to be president. No, not here in Westchester, not where I live in Westchester. It is deep rooted. You can't break that where I live. It's not because it's here in this spot. But I do think we need to start training young girls and women to want to run and what they need to do to get there, because that's the first step, I think, too.
I like what Anika's writing. We getting away from the political parties, no labels, just vote for the right person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Will we ever see that?
I do that.
I hope the
I
generations that
voted,
follow will.
yeah, I mean, I don't vote for a party, I vote for a person.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it will take as you were saying, Dakota, a change in the system
Mm-hmm.
that, pretty much now anyone that runs for political office like starts that fairly, not, I would say fairly young.
Yeah.
And it's the taking of the money and the power and again, whose side are you on? Who do you have it in with? Who's
Mm-hmm.
scratching your back, vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's, it's in corporate structure, a lot of different structures, and I don't know a lot. I'm just wondering, like, what is the answer? What is
Mm-hmm.
the pathway for someone who has genuine good, has ideas, has capacity, and then it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be, money driven or who you've paid off or who you owe, or, I mean, the amount of money spent on campaigning.
Mm.
And my thought is, a 20-year-old influencer or even an 8-year-old influencer can get on Instagram and have a huge following and
Mm-hmm.
have a voice. Maybe it's crazy stuff, maybe it's helpful. Do we need to spend the money that we do on campaigning? And I don't
Yeah.
know, just as you said, a lot of systems and ways that we've done things. I think it's time for a change, and it'll be more fruitful, maybe.
Yeah. I hope so. I'm hopeful after seeing New York put in, how come I can never say his name right? Mandabi?
Mom Donnie,
Mobdani?
Mom Donnie.
Fun.
Yeah.
Done.
Manbadi. He is amazing. I want him president. But the amount of good that he's done in the short time that he's been there has been nothing short of a miracle. Love it. Love him. So there is a more fun question we can answer. What is your guilty pleasure that you actually feel zero guilt about? This
I
person
love
needs new ways to treat themselves.
I love this one too because I work remotely and I work sort of 9 to 5. I mean, I could work whatever time I want during the day. I will stay in bed sometimes till 9 o'clock and just hang out with Onyx and watch. I've gotten into these new videos now on Insight Timer. I've been doing like um, yoga in the bed, and things like that. And that to me is such a guilty pleasure, is the fact that I remember when I used to have to get up, at 6:37 a.m. and hurry up and rush out the door and get to work. And now the fact that I can just lounge, my mornings are so relaxed. And I look forward to working because I'm not rushing, I'm not commuting, you know, and for me, that's been my guilty pleasure. Like in the beginning, I felt like, oh gosh, there's people in the office right now who have had to rush to work and are sitting at their desk at 9 o'clock, and it's 9 o'clock and I'm sitting in my bed. So I was feeling really guilty. And then I was like, but you know what? I'm getting my job done. And I'm good at what I do. And I love what I do. I love the people that I work for. So why am I feeling guilty? So that's my guilty pleasure, is being able to just start my mornings off slow and relaxed and then do my job. And and I'm in a better frame of mind and definitely a lot more pleasant to be around, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's great. The
Violet,
guilty
I'm going
pleasure
to
is
piggyback
being-
on that because it's very similar for me. I'm fairly retired, I would say. I do produce content, but not a lot of it on Insight Timer. And my guilty pleasure that, again, I have no problem. I love to lay down and to lay flat. And so sometimes when I say that to people are like, hey, what are some of your practices? It's like, I like to lay down. They're like, oh, because you meditate. No, I'm not meditating. I am laying and, oh, you listen to
Love that.
music. No, my body likes to lay flat.
Yeah.
Oh, do you put your hands in a certain merge? No, I just lay flat. Like I just lay flat and lay flat and lay quiet. Yeah. So that's my guilty pleasure. And it's all different times during the day, the evening, just sometimes my body's like, just go lay down. And I lay down.
That's funny.
I saw a meme the
What's
other day
that?
that you just made me think of, Jill. It said, what are your hobbies? My hobby is going home. And I thought, that's me. My hobby is being home. And I love that. I love that. I love to lay down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was that character that Flat Stanley?
Flat Stanley,
Yeah.
yes. I remember doing
Yeah.
that with my
I've
son.
forgotten. Yeah.
There you go, Jill. You can say next time they ask you, just say like Flat Stanley.
Flat Stanley.
You just
You
lay
did
flat.
Jill.
Flat Jill.
Except we can't stick you in an envelope and send you around the world.
Oh, that's great. You gotta
I
go,
have
Melanie? Or
I
go.
just have way too many that
I know.
I don't feel guilt. This is the bottom line. My
Yeah.
mother taught me when I was young. She said guilt is a wasted emotion. Do not do things in your life that you're going to feel guilty for. And it was like such a liberating concept. So I spend an excessive amount of money on skincare. I dropped some money on clothes for this photo shoot I had today, and I love to take naps. I would say that I'm very hedonistic, so it's hard to make me feel guilty about doing fun, luxurious things.
And by the way, I
That's
love the
great.
purple shirt that you're wearing.
Yes, Violet, I was waiting. I'm like, I wore this in honor of Violet.
I love it. I love it. Love it.
Can you
I
see
want
it?
it. Yes, I want it. It's everything that I love. It's violet, it's purple, and it's flowers.
You know, it's perfect for our setup. I got the two violets on one side and the two
Yes.
earth tone people on
Yes,
the
you're right. Yeah.
other. That's awesome to not feel guilt, though. What a
See,
way
I
to
don't
be
know that. I
raised.
wish I had that. I feel like growing up Catholic, guilt was, it still is. It's
Yeah.
such like I fight it constantly. I recently was talking to my therapist who I love, and she said to me, "How are you dealing with?" I forget what the situation was, and I said, "I'm actually dealing okay because I've stopped." Oh, my mother, which talk about guilt. I said, I'm dealing with her really well because I no longer feel guilty for not doing what she wants when she wants it. I finally realized that there was no reason for it. Like I'm constantly feeling guilty, and I finally just said, "Why? Just stop." And I did, but I still have to think about it.
Yeah. I think when I feel guilt, it's more self-induced.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
that
like-
one
It
last
always is. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I'm doing something fun, I'm like, I should be working. I should be
Right.
doing this. Go through the laundry list of everything that needs to be done. But my guilty pleasure is multi-fat. I have a lot, like Oreos,
I heard about those Oreos.
more Oreos,
Milk or no milk with the Oreo?
No milk, no.
Double
Okay.
stuffed.
Purist.
no double stuff. I like the original
Me too.
Oreo. 4. I have to have 4 every night. And there's a certain way you eat Oreos. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, that's my newest one anyway. But I think that I'm like Melanie, where I don't feel guilty about many things, but the guilt really is self-induced if I do feel it. And usually it involves there should be something else I should be doing.
Right.
Yeah. Be productive. Get something
Yeah.
done. Work through that to-do list.
I
It
think
is.
it's
Sitting around.
being productive by napping though, because I know like I'll get more done on the other side.
Mhm.
That's
And
true.
I don't know if you guys grew up, I know Violet does because we talk all the time. But I grew up in a Protestant household, and I don't know if I just misinterpreted what was being said. But my interpretation as a child was, we learn like Christ died for your sins. So you're going to sin. You're going to strive to do the best that you can, but know that you are on occasion not going to do that. And that's okay. I always heard that messaging, like it's okay to fail and it's
Yeah.
okay to fall. I have a farm in Virginia and it's called Falling Forward because
Wow.
I
Cool.
really believe that when you fall, it's more like tripping, oops, because you're never really failing. You're just learning and pivoting to something else.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, truly.
Love the name.
Can't remember last time I've taken a nap, though. That sounds really luxurious. There's those
That's
in the
something
chat
else I
who are saying
started
they
doing.
also
Yeah,
nap.
I never used to, and now I've started doing that too because I found that, I take a little nap and then I feel even better than before. Now I can keep going and I can be more productive if I have to. Obviously, if I'm working, I need to be productive.
I might just have to try that someday.
Life changing.
No, if you
It
don't
could
sleep
be.
well at night, I don't. You must nap. And Violet turned me on to Tom's snoozitation.
That's the best.
That's a great
No, I'm
name.
like, did Tom load this with subliminal messages?
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, how do I fall asleep every day? I turn it on every day and listen to it. And I'm telling you, and then I wake up because I'm like, there's the music. It's time to wake up. It's 22 minutes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's amazing. I love that. I love that track.
That's awesome.
You have to listen to it. It'll work.
I will. I don't sleep well at night, so probably because I'm always watching my animal cams. I'm obsessed with that. So we also have the question, how have your spiritual practices changed in the chaos that is happening right now?
Oh, that's a good one.
And let's let this be our last question for the night. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can go have my Oreos.
I feel like I
would say
definitely am
nap.
trying harder now. I try harder now to do the things like I would be like, maybe I can meditate, but whatever. And I think now I'm a little more like, just do it. Just sit somewhere in silence and just do it because it really does help. Whereas in the
Yeah.
past, maybe I didn't feel like I needed as much. So I was like, I don't need a, meditation or a nap or whatever. And now it's like, I need it. I do it.
Yeah.
I think I cut you off, Jill.
No, I was going to say my practices haven't changed that much. I think my awareness level, definitely is up there. I would say probably offering practices to more people. Like I have a ear out when someone says I'm stressed. Oh my gosh, I can't get through this. I'm watching all of the news, and because I can go live on a Zoom or a phone call or Insight Timer, I'm listening more to be of service to other people. But I would say my practices are pretty much the same, just more observance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Melanie, how about you?
I'm just pretty much the same as you, Jill, where they really haven't changed. The one thing that's changed outside of my spiritual practice is I have become more quiet. I want to post on social media because I do have a business, but I'm like, I don't want to contribute to the noise. And I'm a prolific writer. And then I'm like, okay, I don't want to just add. If I don't have something to say that's important for others to hear, I don't want to contribute. And even if I have something to say, I've been feeling like I can't. And yet I have a business and I have to figure it out. I haven't been posting on social media, and it's like, okay, but I need to do something. And that's where I struggle the most.
And it's hard, like you said, because there is so much noise. Like you and I have talked about Substack. Everybody's on Substack now. I can't even find the stuff that I want to read. Like Dakota, every now and then I see one of your things go by. I'm like, how the hell did I miss this? It's because there were 50 other things that were crowding my feed, and I totally missed yours for like 3 or 4 days. And, that makes me crazy. I'm like, there's just too much noise. And then there's the gurus, right? Another conversation we've had. Everybody's a guru. And half of these people, I'm sorry, are full of crap. And I'm like, I wish, like when I see other people running to these gurus, I wish I could tell them, stop following these gurus. They're normal people just like you. They don't have all the answers. And half the time they're full of crap anyway.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to sift through all that.
It really is. I find that difficult too. And especially in the advent of AI. I mean, I appreciate AI because I use it as tutorial and sound and all that kind of stuff. But when I see these spiritual leaders on Substack specifically that are they've got these long form articles, and
You know where
every
they came from, right?
bit
Because
of
it's got
it.
those 3
Yeah.
line sentences, those M dashes. That drives me insane. That's like one of my pet peeves.
There's like no part of you in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time with that.
I have a really hard time with that one.
But
As soon as I see those 3 line sentences that's in every paragraph, I'm like, that's AI. I'm not even going to read it.
yeah, same. But my spiritual practices, I don't think have really changed either, except that I don't know if you would consider this a spiritual practice, but like you, Melanie, running a business, you have to do social media and all the bullshit. And I hate social media, hate it with a passion. And I finally, after so many years on Instagram and Facebook, and I had 35,000 followers, and I ditched everyone. I deleted all my social media accounts, and I went just to Substack, and I've got 99 followers. I'm like, yeah.
That's pretty good because
No
you've only just
expectation.
recently started using it. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I don't even post on there very often because
Yeah,
it's
I
like I
know.
just can't bring myself to it. So I think my spiritual practice is just being true to I mean, yeah, I know I have to do that for my business, but I just can't. I can't play that game. So unless I have something really authentic to say, I'm not going to be posting every day just because it's good for the algorithm. Now, is it hard on the business? Yeah, it's hard on the business. Absolutely. But I don't know, for me, any other way to do it, because I'm refusing to give money to corporations that support anything that has to do with what's going on right now. But yeah, Insight Timer and YouTube I need to get back to. And Scarlett, I did see your post there. Thank you for. I'm one of her guilty pleasures from my immersive experiences.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I look forward to those. I will like rush out of my Zoom meetings for work so that I can catch them.
Aw.
I'm always like, do you have any questions? I'm like, no, we don't. Let's go.
Wrap
That's
it
funny.
up.
Exactly.
Wrap it up. I
I
just
took a
finished.
few classes with you, Dakota. I don't know if you remember before I was
Which
on
one?
Insight Timer a while ago.
Yeah.
It was, I think, something to do with the medicine wheel. It was years ago.
Mhm.
And it was a class like on Zoom, like you had
Yeah.
a group, I think.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. And I would just say to anybody that's here to check them out because it's
Oh,
phenomenal.
thank you. I love teaching. I love teaching.
And Melanie and I are waiting for you to do a retreat so we can go to Maine.
I know. Every time I think about scheduling one, I think, oh, that just sounds so
Oh
exhausting.
my gosh, I can't imagine.
I took mine off actually because I was doing too much.
Yeah.
Violet
Yeah.
knows, and I kept emailing Insight Timer and I said, I'm unable to do this retreat.
Mhm.
And they weren't taking it down. So I edited the retreat name to "This is canceled." And
Oh. That'll teach them.
and then they emailed me. Because when you edit a retreat, it goes into edit mode and they have to
Oh, okay.
approve it.
Oh.
Probably an algorithm thing, or yeah, it pops up.
It goes to them. Yeah. Like it's when you
Mhm.
edit
That's
it,
smart.
it pops it into their we have to approve it mode because it has to be approved before they can post
Yeah.
it. So if
Oh,
you
that's-
edit something, because I was like, I'm
that's
afraid
good.
someone's going to sign up. Because I will say, like, my other retreats sold, and I have a lot of people from Insight Timer, but I couldn't do this particular one. So I was like, oh my God, they're not responding.
Yeah. I do want to. I do want to do a retreat. I love teaching them, but I want somebody to run it for me, and I just show
I hear
up.
you. This is how I felt
God,
about these
yes.
lives. When you said you were going to run it, I was like, I could just show up. This is awesome.
Yeah. And then look, you still have to run the YouTube part of it.
Yeah, but that's not so hard. To me, the hard part is the whole, the OBS and the setup and the before and the after, so this is still easy for me.
Yeah. It is. It is easier when you can just show up. There is something to be said about that. I used to own a retreat center, and I'll tell you, I will never do that again, ever. Because you're cooking, cleaning, you're prepping, it's just in teaching, everything. It's just way too much.
And getting up
And maybe
early.
that's why yeah, and staying up late, and then you got people in your space, so they're always there. You can't get away, and yeah, it was just, we had a gigantic, like 40-foot teepee in the middle of the woods, and I would go in there at the end of the day and just sit in the complete blackness and just be like, oh,
Wow.
just take it all away. And then somebody would come in. Like, oh, we just want to hang out in the teepee. Like, no, there's 30 acres. Go hang out somewhere else, please.
They really
But-
wanted to hang out with you.
That would be hard for
They didn't
me.
know I was in there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it was a cool space. But yeah, someday I will get a retreat in Maine planned. I can't tell you how many people keep asking me for it, and I will.
Now that I know, I won't ask because it is a lot of work and I wouldn't want to do it.
Well, I have somebody just told me that they would help me plan it. Now, I don't know what exactly that means, but if they're wanting to come and like do all the stuff, yeah.
Hopefully they meant it, right? 'Cause
Melanie, you can come cook.
I've had people tell me, oh, I'll help you. And then I end up doing all the work anyway.
Yeah, yeah. It is a lot. It is a lot.
Not a retreat
And,
because like I said, I don't do retreats. I don't want to. I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to do any extra work if I don't have to.
Oh, look, we got Pennsylvania. Anika's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Scarlett's
Anika, where
willing
in
to do some
Pennsylvania
work.
are you? I know I've asked Anika this before because my kids are in PA.
Yeah, we got New Yorkers. Wow, y'all are close.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love being in that space, that community space. Though it gets lonely being a solo entrepreneur who works online. I don't know if you guys experience that or not, but
It's funny because, obviously I work for a company that's got like 500 people, but because I work remotely and the only person really I ever interact with is my direct supervisor, and she's amazing. I mean, I hear from her once every couple of weeks. So I feel like I'm alone most of the time. And that's how I got started on Insight Timer, because I wanted that background noise. And then the lives were some interaction for me.
Mhm.
But I've come to a place where I really love my privacy and my solitude. Like if my husband takes a day off and he's home during the day, I'm like, you have totally thrown me off my game now. So
Yeah.
he knows he can't make a lot of noise because I'm like, I don't want to know you're here. Until 5 o'clock, when you normally come home, I don't want to hear any noise.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
pretty good about that.
that's good.
But
Yeah,
yeah, how do you
it's
deal with
crazy.
that, Melanie or or Jill? How do you deal with that? Because you really do. I mean, you are working for yourself.
I think for me, because again, I don't, I'm not doing too much full time anymore. In California, I actually had a physical space and a small studio. So for me, again, I'm introverted. I get enough interaction from some in-person classes, even online. Generally, at the end of the yoga nidra, I'm not communicating with people, just letting them be, but I'll get text or messages later. And I'm not creating a lot. So I think, when I was listening to, there's some people making comments on the Insight Timer and then Dakota. I'm not doing a lot right now that I need my creativity sparked, like it's pretty low level. But I found other times in my life when, again, I felt like creatively flat, I did want to be in community with people.
Yeah,
And what I like about
Yeah.
Insight Timer is I can be in community when I want to, and I could shut it off when I don't. And for me, being an introvert too, there's a lot of times I just don't. Like, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want, and it's funny because I go through these phases where I schedule a lot of lives and then I stop. And I was doing that again. And I just recently went in and canceled a whole bunch because I was like, you know what? I need that space. I get almost overwhelmed by having too much interaction. I need my silence. I need my space.
Yeah.
Am I the only
Yeah.
extrovert here?
I think you are.
I'm both.
I'm
I think you
both.
are. Yeah, I think you're both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Cancer Leo, so I'm right on the cusp.
Ooh.
Wow.
So Cancer, very homebody, introverted, and then Leo, wah, roar. But definitely in work, I'm an extrovert in work and in like environments like where there's people, but my nature is introvert. Mostly because it's so exhausting.
Yeah. I find it
Yeah,
exhausting.
yeah.
And I think someone
exhausting to be-
like you, Melanie, who has such an outgoing personality, I think for you it's more energizing, right? And for me, it's exhausting.
Yes, definitely. I mean, once in a while,
I mean, I
lately-
love it, but it's still exhausting.
Yeah. For me, once in a while, it does feel exhausting lately, but no, it definitely energizes me to be around people. And I do have a lot of output and creativity. And so I feel like I need to be around people. I'm always, trying to gather people and connect them.
Yeah.
And I do
That's
that
a
in
gift, too.
small doses, like I like to bring people together. But again, I need to be able to step away. Like I'd be with you in the tent, hiding in the dark. In fact, I
There were
remember,
3 of us.
right? I remember my husband's parents used to show up unexpectedly, and they would stay for hours. And I would literally go into the bathroom and stay there for like an hour, just hoping that they would leave. Which is probably really rude, but I couldn't take it. I had to get away. I think she unplugged herself.
I think it's having like for me, it's the right people, if you will,
Yes,
right people,
yes.
right time for what I need, and fairly meaningful conversations. It doesn't have to be that serious all the
Yes.
time, but a lot of idle chatter and repeated
Yes.
chatter. Did I tell you the one about, yes, you did 3 times every time?
And this was exactly what I would get in those visits. And I was like, they have to leave. They have to go now. I was like, I can't listen to another cat story. I can't see another picture of, the tree that they took 600 shots of. And yeah.
Bless their hearts, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I would hit that limit and I would be like, they gotta go. They gotta go.
Jill, did you ever live in the South at all?
No, I'm not sure why. I do tend to say bless your heart. And there's a couple euphemisms I've learned different places. Like we had one in corrections, which was rougher, but just, thank you so much for sharing was another one. Like, thank you for sharing. Like, that means be quiet.
I lived in South Carolina for 7 years.
South.
Yeah. And at first I thought, oh, they're being so nice to me. Oh, bless your little heart. And then, you learn what it really means.
Or not too long ago, I was in Mississippi where my cousin is, and it was a whole thing around food, Melanie, of just like deveining shrimp and different things. I'm not a big seafood eater, and I don't believe I was making faces because I'm pretty good about it, but one of the friends of the cousin was like, "You're from up north, aren't you?" And I didn't get it. I said, "No, I'm from California." "Yeah, that's up north," meaning I was not southern enough to do like the deveining of the shrimp and the crayfish. And so it was referred to, "Oh, you're from up north." And she was not asking like where I lived or being complimentary. I said, "No, I'm not a southern girl."
This little subtle backhanded compliments. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Every
like when people
culture, I
say to
think,
me, "Oh,
has
you're
at
from
least
the
one.
city. You're from the city, aren't you?"
Well, this has been really wonderful, you guys. I have enjoyed spending time with you guys and getting to know you. It's been nice to just have space to listen
Amazing.
and speak. And, yeah. So do you want to close out with anything? Actually, let's close with this because I'm curious as all get out. Why did you choose woman of whatever is underneath your name? I asked you guys to do that with no parameters, no
Right.
explanation.
Right.
And I'm curious, woman of unseen, woman of resonance, woman of, I can't read yours, Melanie. What's yours say again?
I'm unseen.
Oh, you're unseen. What are you?
I had chameleons because I got stumped, but it makes sense.
So why chameleons? Let's start with you.
Yeah.
Sure. For me, there's a little of, back when Melanie and I started about, how we approach people, how we guide them, nudge them, kick them into doing things. So for me, I think what the question brought up is kind of how do I approach people? How do I observe people? So I still will always remain who I am, but when I am interested in someone, when I want to help them, when we're that fit, and I get that divine assignment, like, you know what, do something with or for or around this person, I can kind of switch into their energy. I can step out of being introverted if that's what I feel like they need. So there's a saying of code switching, which is different of, okay, you're in the corporate world, you have to all of a sudden have the corporate talk or oh, bless your heart. It's not changing that much, but it's tuning into, okay, this person's speaking loudly and very agitated, or this person seems pretty quiet, but an invasive question isn't going to work. So I feel a bit like a chameleon sometimes of just tapping into what other people need and being willing to switch up a little bit in how I talk, what I say, how I offer comfort. So that was the chameleon. I mean, it's the first time I've ever said it that way. So I was like, yeah, I think I'm a woman of chameleons for
I love
now.
that.
I like that too. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Now it makes so much more sense. Melanie? Woman of the unseen,
Woman of the
extroverted.
unseen. Yes, exactly. And I think not unlike Joe, it's because I can let parts of my personality be unseen when I need to help others. And I think that Scorpios are notorious for that, right? I'm still there and doing all the things, but I am sort of a master of being private, even though my husband always says, this is going to sound terrible. He's like, nobody knows you, but everyone thinks they're your best friend. And that's not always true. I mean, I am so say what, if it's here, it's here. But definitely there's like a piece of that where people probably don't know me as deeply as they think. But I do it also because I feel like then people aren't going to be completely open to me. And I do feel like I'm here to help so many people in my way, and just being me helps people learn. So I sort of I'm unseen in certain characteristics that might hold them back from like growth with me.
Yeah.
So kind of like a chameleon, but different.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fascinating. The two of you kind of picked up on that same little vein. Yeah. Sweet. And Violet?
This was another great question. You had so many great questions. Like they really made me think. And I love that because usually I just kind of like, when I do my lives, I just wing it. I don't really think ahead of time. And this time I was like, man, I really got to think about these things. And when you said woman of, I was like, and the obvious stuff was coming to me, tech and this and that. And I'm going back to what Jill was saying earlier. I don't want to be defined by what I do or who I am. Or I was like, I want to really put a lot of thought into that. And I thought about what I do freely, what I love, which is what I do on Inside Timer, which is connecting people. And I thought that's what it is for me. It's the resonance. I'm kind of holding that space for what we feel, what's connecting us. And, I have found so many people that resonate with my things that I thought, oh, my life wasn't that, it's not that interesting and I don't have anything to share and no one's going to want to hear about it. And, and then I told stories like, what I went through, what Melanie and I were talking about with our kids. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that track about how I felt and the guilt. And so many people would reach out to me. And I was like, wow, it's amazing how many people resonate with you when you are being authentic and you're being real.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me because I was never one to share private things like that because I just felt like, these people have it worse. So I'm not going to start telling them my problems because they're not nearly as bad or as scary or as traumatic. And I found that the more honest I was and the more real I got, the more people could relate to that and the more it was helping them. It was helping me by talking about it, and it was helping them because they could resonate. So that's where Woman of
Yeah.
Resonance came for me. You gave me a lot to think about.
Good. I'm glad you came to that. And even that realization that the more authentic you are, the more accepting it is.
Which was so
And it
healing
gives,
for me.
yeah. And it gives other people that kind of permission that they might need
Yeah.
to be that too.
Exactly.
Not have to hide the hard stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I am Woman of the Woodland Soul because I've landed there because that's where I come most alive, is out in nature, and that's where I feel most connected. I take a medicine walk every day, and to me that's like that's my juice. I think most people kind of equate me with that, woods.
Yeah. And it's amazing
Animals, all that.
how the stuff that you do in your immersive journeys, like how that comes almost so natural to you. Like I couldn't create those immersive journeys that you create. So I feel like that's coming from somewhere, right?
Sometimes when I go outside, I live right off the Androscoggin River, and I'll walk down to the river and just close my eyes and just listen to all the different sounds and how, like, the birds to my right or the water is lapping to the left. And for me, it's like, I call that work. To go out there and just kind of study nature and it's the sounds of it. And there's so much that we don't hear because we have so much noise around us and inside of us. And that's my goal, really, when I go out there, is just to tune down the world and turn up the volume on everything else. But I appreciate this space, and for everybody who has hung out with us here tonight, both on Insight Timer and here on YouTube.
And thank you for creating this, Dakota, because I would not have done it. So I'm so grateful because, again, I was like, I don't want to do anything that's going to cause me too much work. So I'm so grateful that you came up with this concept, that you did all the work, and that you,
the work initially is not, but going forward, it won't be. It'll be just, we all just show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think conversations are important to have.
I agree.
Like this. So, and again, if anybody wants to submit a question for us to answer at a future R.O.A.R event, there's a place on my website where you can submit a question. I don't have it public, but I'll put a link down on my footer or something like that. And we'll figure out next time.
And I got a very extensive list from a few people of teachers that they recommended for future ones.
Oh, good. Okay.
Very extensive.
All right. Well, Melanie and Jill, thank you so much for kicking this off with us. And if you're ever willing to come back, we would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This was amazing.
Good voices to have here. Good. All right. Well, everybody, I am off to spend the last couple of hours with my wife before she leaves for a month.
Wow.
And I know. I have to take care of the entire house while she's gone.
Oh, no.
That means I have to make my own dinners. Ugh.
No fun.
Wendy is the best. You know what she did? She has been cooking nonstop for the last 2 weeks, and I have a freezer full of frozen meals.
Wow.
All I have to do is pop it out and pop it in. I know.
I'd be eating peanut butter
lucky.
and jelly.
Yeah. Well, she told me last night, she goes, you probably will run out of food at some point during the month.
Take-out menu.
Yeah, take out. I don't cook very often anymore.
All right, friends. I'm
All
going to
right.
click the stop
Thank
stream
you.
on YouTube, saying goodbye to everybody on YouTube.
All
Thank you
right.
for
Bye.